Yeah, no, I'm not gonna count on him. Like, listen, this year we did. We factored in, and I don't know what the total you would know off the top of your head. So, uh, you certainly didn't factor in the win totals combined, and that's not a true evaluation of a pitcher. But between Pineda, for instance, and Severino, I don't know what the combined wins were, but if our offense was operating the way we expected, and if they were pitching, as expected, I think that win totals shouldn't, as a combination, would not have been where it ultimately settled. And forgive me for not knowing the exact total. It's probably 12 combined between them, if that, if not maybe less, 8. But that's certainly something that was not part of the winter expectation when we were approaching spring training. So hopefully this winter, with a lot of time off and soul searching and, again, maturity and growth in terms of learning from your most recent past, he'll hit the ground running, and 2017 will be a better year for him than it was.
Neil and Pete.
Given the traditional standards here from ownership down to fans, for a team that didn't make the playoffs, has this sort of positive vibe around the franchise surprised you in any way, or do you think that's just a function of the last, how well you played post-trade deadline with all the young kids? People aren't supposed to be as happy, at least your fans, as they seem to be, given what happened this season.
Yeah, I think we have very educated fans. They support this franchise 3 million strong on a yearly basis, and we have a worldwide network that we're proud to have, and we're lucky to have. And they're educated, because they're connected, obviously through you and bloggers, and they're very sophisticated. And I think this is something that in most cases, something that they wanted to transpire. They wanted us to press that reset button, and in many cases, tired of seeing what was transpiring in the first few months of this year. The been there, done that. It's time to do something that was not part of our DNA, but really was part of our DNA, because it's not. Again, I've been here a long time. It's 1986 was my internship, and I think people forget how the mid 90s and beyond got created, and what fire we walked through in the 80s to get there, knowingly or unknowingly at times, because sometimes some surprises came along the way, and sometimes clearly I remember when I was the assistant farm director, while we were collecting a lot of the talent that we collected, I mean, who knew we were actually sitting on a dynasty waiting to happen? And none of us, whether it was Brian Sabian, who's obviously got a game across us, the water over in Queens tonight, when he was our scouting director, or Bill Livesey, or Mitch Lukovics, who was my boss. He's the player development director in Tampa. I was his assistant. Gene Michael, who was one of our scouts at the time, and then eventually GM. All that talent that we eventually acquired, it grew into something special. But while that was going on, we were taking hits at the major league level and not making the playoffs on a consistent basis. Getting dirt kicked in our face by the Bash brothers in the Oakland A's dynasty, or whatever they were back then, and stuff like that. So, I don't forget those times. From adversity and difficult times, you can grow some great things. And, so I think that's the period that we have been going through a little bit here recently. I think our fan base recognized that and wanted what we did in July, and they responded in kind with a lot of excitement. And then the players that did come up, some more than others, clearly Gary Sanchez predominantly, really, got them excited about some players that they've been following from our system for a long time, and now they came up and started contributing and gave some exciting moments, and I think they're looking to grow with us, during the good times and the bad times, like they did back then. There's some people that they really think, and I think we represent, there's going to be a nice big impact for us as we move forward. And so I'm not surprised by it, because I had a sense I felt the same way. I was like, this is time. We need to do certain things that we've never really done that we have to do. And I'm glad that ownership signed off on it. And I think that, the future's brighter because of it.
Pete, to your
Cash.
left, your left, Cash.
Does McCann have a definitive role in your mind for 2017?
Yeah, I do, but that doesn't preclude me from listening either. I'm going to be, as I enter this winter, just like, and these are signals of how I've kind of assessed where we've been the last few years. I've been open to everything and anything only because I feel like we've had to be open to more things, because we weren't necessarily just a one player away finish off type situation to be considered odds-on favorite. So that's why last winter, it leaked out that we had conversations with, we didn't deny it, but we had conversations about Andrew Miller, with other clubs, or, and this winter's going to be no different. I'm going to be open for, discussing anything on this roster. I don't know where those conversations might take us. Players with no trades like a Brian McCann. Gary Sanchez is obviously our starting catcher going into next year. It's his position to lose. That doesn't mean he can't lose it. We saw what Severino did last year in the second half for us, helping us get to the postseason. And this year he followed up with some struggles. That's part of it, but we're very excited about Gary. He was always projected, as people heard me speak of. I even called him the Kraken last year. We're going to unleash the Kraken, because that's why we traded John Ryan Murphy, because we felt he was ready to go. He didn't have a good spring training, so it took a little longer than we wanted, but he always projected to be a middle lineup type hitter and a very exciting defender. And boy, what he did was amazing. It's hard to expect that, and I wouldn't expect that over the course of a 6-month period next year. But I think, we have a exciting everyday talent that is going to has a chance to be one of the best catchers in our game as we move forward. As long as he stays healthy and stays committed, as he's done the last 2.5 seasons now.